Come on, girl, let's scream.
I am a god.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. This is the part where you run.
Come on, scream.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Scream, a podcast where we dive into our favorite horror movies. I'm Stevie.
And I'm Parker.
And today we're looking at 1979's Alien, directed by Ridley Scott.
Join us as we journey to space and we learn all about the alien. You ready to scream, girl?
Come on, girl.
Let's scream! So, really quick before we get into our movie, we do have to address, last week at the end of our episode, we said that we would be starting a new series this week called Jordan Peele June. We're still doing Jordan Peele June.
We just have to put it off for a week.
For 1 week due to like a scheduling conflict with the guest,
yes.
Basically. So, trust me, I fucking love the Jordan Peele movies.
And
we will be covering
only
them.
3 that we're covering.
Yeah, so it'll still be Jordan Peele June.
Yes.
It works out. So
Also, Happy Pride.
Also,
Alien
Happy Pride.
is gay.
Yeah. Back to Alien.
Back to Alien.
Alien.
I love this movie.
This is one of your all-time faves.
This is one of my favorites. I have a lot of, I just really like this movie. I like space-themed films. Because I was like Star Wars as a kid. But I also really I think I like that kind of isolation feeling.
Yeah.
And I like that depiction. I don't like all space movies, I will say that. There's some that really bore me. And that
Yeah.
Or a little too
I'm not really a science fiction girly.
That's fair.
But I will say, I fucking love this movie. This is also, I consider, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And such a classic.
It's another 70s film, and I'm starting to... I love 70s horror movies. I think they're some of the best. I think. Because they don't work with a lot of everything's practical.
Yes. That's what I was going to say. This movie is a masterclass at suspense building. It's a masterclass at special effects.
Oh, absolutely. It's so well done.
And it won the Oscar for Best Special Effects.
As it should.
And I think they hold up.
Hello? Oh, absolutely.
Practical effects, they always look better. We talk about that. And I feel like, didn't we address this on a previous episode, that they're, for one of the sequels of this movie coming up soon, it's going to be all practical effects, right?
Mostly, yes. Yes, they're making, I forget who's directing it, but I know that they're using mostly practical effects. I can look it up really quick.
Yeah.
It's going to be called Alien Romulus, and it's going to be directed by Fede Alvarez. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but it's going to be coming out later this year.
Have you seen any of the other Alien movies? Or have you only seen this one?
I've only seen this one.
I've only seen this one and the sequel, Aliens. And I'm not the biggest fan of Aliens. A lot of people fucking love that movie. That movie has a huge fan base.
I need to watch it and give an opinion. But I just think this movie is just really good standalone.
This movie is so much better. What drives me nuts about Aliens is those characters. They're so annoying. They're all these 80s assholes. And that's very the 80s. Oh, the characters are assholes, so you want to see them die. That's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah.
But they're just so annoying. We spend so much time with them, particularly Bill Paxton's character.
Yeah.
He is so obnoxious. And the whole time, it's just not as scary and as suspenseful as the first one, and it's just so much more action-y.
Which you're not a fan of when an action movie's disguised as horror.
I don't like action.
Because, so Parker just came over, and I was in the middle, so I watched Alien this morning when I got up, and I did not watch the same... Okay, before we get into this, I recommend the director's cut version, because there's a deleted scene. Now, that is the version I first watched without knowledge, so there is a scene that has always stuck in my head, and then there was a time I came over to your place and you were watching it, and I was like, this isn't the right version. I was like, Parker, there's a scene missing. And you, like, did not believe me at first. You're like, no, that's not a scene. You're like, you're thinking of the sequel. And I was like, Parker, I've never seen the sequel. I was like, from this version. And then you found it, and it's the director's cut version. Right. Which has, it's in later in the movie, but I think it's a really great scene that kind of finishes I don't know, I think it just adds, like, a good layer to, Ripley's character.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm excited to get to that scene.
So
yeah, definitely watch the director's
just because
cut.
I'm so used to it, like the version I watched did not have it, but then I just found the scene on YouTube and watched it again just to remind myself exactly how it goes down. But like I know I watched it, but don't watch the version on Hulu because it does not have this scene.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like rented the director's cut.
Yeah. I don't know what I originally watched it on, where that was just, like, the version they had. And I was like, okay. It probably was Max, back when it was, like, HBO or something.
I'm so not a fan of trying to find different cuts for this podcast. That's been so annoying. Like, the Wicker Man episode, still makes me so mad.
We watched a different version.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I think my version was the better
one.
Version.
No, fully.
Because it was just better, like... Because yours had every song, like, one right after
stacked
another.
At the beginning.
And then none at the end, whereas mine was like, no, they were, like, sprinkled throughout. It was very well done.
But it's still a good episode of the pod. Go watch the Wicker
And then
Man
what was...
episode.
I watched the version... Oh, a Mother! I watched the version that was cut.
Yeah. Yeah, you
and
watched...
censored.
All your shit was censored.
No ass. I got no ass.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
No.
And I feel like we watched a weird cut of The Shining when we did that. Anyway, y'all... If you can only get access to the theatrical
mine had
version,
stuff that yours didn't. I was like, no, this happened. And you were like, no. And I was like, yeah.
The skeletons in the ballroom
Yeah.
is not in the British cut, which is what I watched, I think.
And mine did have that.
But
okay, but getting back into it.
Yeah, we recommend the director's cut for Alien, and we'll get into that in our plot summary, but...
Yes.
Yeah, this is a classic. It's so good. There's not really much to say until we get into our plot summary, but...
I also really like this movie because it inspired, like, one of my favorite video game series, which is Metroid, which has Samus from, like, Smash Brothers.
Oh, I didn't realize that was inspired by Alien, but that makes sense.
Because the one of the main antagonists is named Ridley, like, after
Ridley Scott. Well, this movie was, impactful in so many ways. This movie, fully influenced so many science fiction movies that came after it. It has its own franchise. It has its own video game series, which I like that Alien Isolation game. That one's so scary. That's such a good horror game.
I think you can get that on the Switch.
Yeah, we should play it.
You can get it.
You're too scared.
I'm too scared to play that one.
But yeah, I think definitely...
Because the alien's like that.
He's always like, bleh. But definitely go watch Alien if you've never seen it before, because it's such a great classic horror movie. And if you want to watch the sequels, be my guest, but I'm not the biggest fan of that sequel. There's those prequels, I guess, Prometheus or whatever.
I think in Ridley Scott returned to direct those. I don't know how good they are.
Me neither. I've never seen them. I honestly haven't heard good things about them, but I haven't really heard much about them in general. So let us know if you enjoyed the Prometheus movies, I guess. I don't need to see. Look, it's all... when it gets too action-y, then I get turned off. That's why I love
I'm just excited for the new one because it's relying on... It's using practical effects, which is... yeah, because I've seen scenes from... Because the alien in this sequels. Is... it's a human. Yeah. The actor is 6'10".
And it looks so good. It's so scary.
It's so good.
All the effects are so good. They hold up. The sequels, I've seen some scenes from those, and the CGI looks so fucking bad. Yeah.
Resident Evil bad.
Yeah, Resident Evil bad.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna watch the sequels of those, y'all. I will never do them because Parker doesn't like those types of movies.
I'm sorry. I don't, though.
But
I really
I'm
don't.
gonna go through them, and I'll just update throughout the weeks my opinion on them.
Yeah.
Like, let's see how we feel about the movies.
Maybe we can do a bonus
games.
episode where, like, you rank the Resident Evil
Movies? Oh my god, yes. Okay. I just tell you why.
Yeah.
Wait, that would be awesome.
That would
I'll
be
do it.
fun.
There's a lot. There's like 6. I'll do it.
I don't need to see any other ones now that I've seen that first one.
It's because I like the games. The games are fun. I feel like you'd like the games. At least 4.
I think I would like the games. I like horror games.
Because the 4 is like James Bondy because you shoot like it's more like action, like guns.
Okay, yeah. I like those kind of games.
So the other ones are more like there's been remakes that are like that, but the originals are more like they're more like puzzle games, like where it's like, oh, I have found this item which can now let me get into this place, which now I can find this. Which
like Tomb Raider.
Yes, but then there's like limited amount of like ammo to like kill the zombies, so you have to like resource management is a big thing, so you don't overuse like your healing items, or else then like late game you're like, shit, I don't have anything.
Yeah, I will give Resident Evil the video games a shot. I don't like action and I don't like zombie movies. Sorry to anybody who's like a fan of zombie movies, but they just don't do it when it's too much. When it's like
they're always the same.
Yeah,
it's always the same. Like zombies bite you and then you become infected. Like Walking
the
Dead
only
is that.
zombie movie that I would like to watch or do on the pod at all is the original Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That one's a classic and like was very impactful and had good themes and I like shit like that. Yeah. But anyway, that was our initial review. Do you have anything else to say like initially before we get into spoilers?
I just really like this movie. I think the acting is great. I think the practical effects are great. The cinematography and the score are all really great.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree.
I will say it can on rewatches. The beginning can be a little slow.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I know it. You like, even when you know what happens, it's still just like, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But once it goes. And the beginning, and it's very intentional. Ridley really wanted that to be like kind of nothing happens. Because then that makes it when everything does happen, like it's way more impactful.
I do have, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of fishtailing off of that. I do have a small critique as well, but this just applies to my opinions about science fiction in general. Is a lot of the dialogue is very like space mumbo jumbo, future mumbo jumbo, and even though there is a lot of like great realistic dialogue where it humanizes the characters and you really relate to them, this movie does do that very well as well.
You like feel for every single character.
Yeah, which we'll get into. But also, I just feel like there are times where I'm so confused as to what we're doing plot-wise. Like, I don't know. But maybe that's just me, and that's kind of how I always feel about science fiction. Like,
yeah,
I never know, like, what the characters are planning until I see it, like, executed, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing. But I always feel a little lost in science fiction.
That's fair.
But yeah,
fair critique.
That's the only thing I have about it. I still think the story.
You can also just say you're dumb.
Well, yes.
No, you're a dumb bitch, but you're not fucking.
But I'm not fucking stupid.
There's
a difference.
There's a difference. Like you're a dumb bitch, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you're not fucking stupid.
But I'm not fucking stupid.
That's how I am.
And I will say this story is overall easy to understand.
With me, how it is with science fiction stuff, any kind of science fiction, the first time like I go through it, because usually it's like the second rewatch or third, and I'm like, oh, now I understand what they're talking about, or like shit like this. But I'm not Tiffany Pollard meme where she's like, I'm nodding like I know what's going on. Like
I'm nodding like I understand, but I'm not so sure I do.
I'm nodding like I understand, but I'm not so sure I do.
That's so me watching this movie.
Or also the one from Housewives where it's like, you getting it? I'm getting it. I'm not getting it.
Okay.
So, you getting it?
I'm getting it. I don't get it.
That's very me when like the characters make certain, like, decisions in this movie. But, like, then I get it later. I'm like,
not-
oh,
like,
now I
I
see.
understand, but I'm not so sure I do.
Well, because it's when it's so, like, prepare for starboard ahead. Turn on the exhaust pipe. Turn the velocity up to 6,000. Turbines to speed. Like, I don't know what, like, bitch. Just say blast off, bitch. I don't know. But other than that, like I said, great movie. Great movie.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get into it. At this point, we're going to get into the spoilers for Alien. If you've never seen it, go watch that movie and then get back into it and explore the story with us. All right? Are you ready to scream, girl?
I'm ready to scream.
I'm ready to scream. I'm ready to space scream, girl. Because the tagline is, in space, no one can hear you scream. Ooh.
And that is also just factually true because the way space is matter, you know, it's how close it is and that's how we get solid objects.
Mm-hmm.
Matter is so far spread apart in space that you can't, like, vocalize anything. Like, you can't vibrate off of anything because...
Oh, damn.
Because vocalization, along with it being our vocal cords, is also... It's vibrating against the matter, which creates the sound.
I still feel like you could hear Mariah Carey, like, whistle note in space, though.
Absolutely.
That's the only sound that carries through the sound waves.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, so we open on outer space.
And I really like this whole, like, intro with, like...
The font.
The font of how it's just starts with, like, two slanted, like, lines on either end pointing towards the middle, and then a single line in the middle, and then it just, you know, it just starts to pan the credits while it's panning over space.
Beautiful score.
Beautiful score. And then as it goes on, it starts to spell out the word alien. And it's just really well done. I just really think it's a good, like, build up. And the whole, like, I think the whole build up's really well done because it's very slow. We get this, we see the spaceship and then we go inside the spaceship and just kind of get familiar with it and see it's...
And it's quiet.
It's quiet. It's inactive. There's no one around. So you're kind of like, oh.
Is this deserted? Like what's going on?
Is this, like, after...
Yeah.
And then we come to this, like, pod room, and it's, like, beautifully lit, and it's, like, white, and the pod's open, and we see our crew.
Yep. This is the crew for the Nostromo. Oh, that's right. We also earlier got a title card that told us that the ship is called the Nostromo. It is carrying 20 million tons of mineral ore that has been harvested from another planet, or we don't really know. But now it's making its way back to Earth.
Yes.
And I guess the ship, the Nostromo itself, is actually like a very small, like, towing thing. Like, it's kind of like a little tug almost. Yeah. And the huge mass of ship that we see is actually just the cargo itself.
Yeah.
So I thought that I never, like, put that together, that, like, the whole big gigantic thing we see isn't the Nostromo, but, like, a little piece of it is.
Yeah.
And that's what's steering it around.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, we get a jump scare of this alarm that goes off on one of the monitors in the control room, and then it goes silence again. So there's some kind of security alert or something that gets transmitted to this monitor. And then, that's when the 7-person crew all wake up in their pods. The first one that comes out of the pod is Kane. Who is he the captain of the ship, I'm assuming, at this point?
No, that was Dallas.
Dallas is the captain? Okay. He looks fucking exhausted. Kane does.
Yeah.
He's got that, like, I don't know, that, like, zoned out look that you get when you are dead fucking tired and have to get up and go to fucking work.
Yeah.
They all sit around and eat breakfast together. And we kind of just get a basic gist for their personalities. They're kind of like trucker guys.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's basically what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there to do deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
Gather stuff and then bring it back.
And you've got, okay, so, like, the team consists of, obviously...
We have Dallas, the captain. We have Kane, the executive officer. We have Ellen Ripley, who is the warrant officer.
A.K.A. Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver, who is our
She's our final girl.
final girl. Then we have Lambert, who is the navigator. We have Parker, who is the chief engineer. And we have Brett, the engineering technician, as well as Ash, who is the ship's science officer.
So, like, Ripley is very straight-laced. Also, she has her cat that she takes care of, Jones. And
yeah.
Jones even, like, sits at the table with them and eats breakfast.
Yes.
I also like how they all refer to each other as their last names. Mm-hmm. And Jones is a last name, so even the cat is referred to by a last name, which I thought was cute.
Yeah.
They really consider the cat like a member of the team.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cute.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got Lambert, who is kind of whiny.
Yeah.
She's always there just kind of like bitch.
She is a nervous
and
wreck.
moan. Yeah, she's
Constantly.
a nervous wreck. We've got Parker, who is the jokester. He's very like, I don't have time for this bullshit. Da da da.
Like, I'm here to get paid and leave. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not fucking around.
He always has like a sassy comeback for everything. Kane is British, and that's kind of like his only trait, I guess. And Dallas, is the captain. He's the one who gets to like he has access to Mother, which Mother is apparently the computer system.
Yes.
So he's able to like see all the information. I don't know. Again, science fiction mumbo jumbo, but then it's Brett, who is kind of like Parker's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Almost. He's just kind of there to like help out on that mechanic and engineering side, I guess. Then there's, who am I missing? Oh, Ash. Ash is a very interesting character.
He's very...
How would you describe Ash?
Well, I noticed he looked like not like... He doesn't look as beat up as everyone else. Everyone looks exhausted.
Right.
He didn't look as exhausted.
Yeah, and also
that might have just been me, but I really
agree.
noticed that.
No,
he wow.
doesn't look tired. He's... I don't know how to describe him quite yet, and I don't want to give away spoilers. But there's something just kind of off about him. And he's not as personable as the others. He doesn't talk as much. He's just very off to himself. He's kind of quiet, reserved. And he's, like, a genius. Like, he knows the handbook like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
And he's able to recall stats and data and info at the drop of a hat. Yeah. Very, very smart and kind of off-putting. This is when Dallas goes to the Mother, which is in this room full of lights covering, like, the
I'd
entire
also like to
walls.
say that Dallas is played by Tom Skerritt.
Daddy. Do you mean...
Wood.
Daddy? Wood.
Wood.
Wood. Yeah. It's a very attractive cast. They're all so cute, honestly.
Yeah.
This is when he learns from Mother that there has been an alert received from somewhere nearby.
Yeah,
which
from a
we
nearby
saw
planet.
from a nearby somewhere.
A distress call, they assume, but it hasn't been like translated.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly like.
But it seems so far kind of like an SOS.
Yes.
The others go and they strap into their big space chairs and they start like doing their duties or whatever.
Yeah.
And we get Kane giving out orders, which is why I thought he was the captain, because he's the one like giving out orders. But we have Lambert, she's in charge of navigation. She immediately notices, she's like, where is Earth? We're supposed to be like really close to Earth now. We're still in the outer ring of the solar system.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck? So that's the first like
red flag.
Yeah,
like,
red flag.
Something's up.
Because they're all so exhausted. This is at the end of this long ass trip.
Yeah, they have to like go into stasis.
Yeah, and they
like,
thought
survive.
that when they would wake up from their cryo sleep, that they would be like a day away from reaching Earth. But now they're far the fuck away. They've been rerouted, and they're all like, what the fuck? The mother is apparently keeping them away from Earth because when there is an SOS alert nearby, they have to respond to it. And Parker is like, hell the fuck no. Like, no, our job is done, and I want to go home, kind of thing. And
they're like, we signed a clause that says, if we don't do it, we don't get our money.
We don't get paid.
And
so they're like, fuck. So they detach from the main cargo ship and they travel to the nearby planetoid, which is apparently where the signal came from. Yeah. The landing is very rough. It's very rocky. This is the scene I'm talking about where it's like, turbines to speed. Prepare for launch.
Altitude still rising.
Viscosity leveled.
Still dropping. Still dropping.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Air pressure dropping.
And on the landing, their spaceship gets all fucked up. So they're like, fuck, well, I guess while we're repairing it, then some of us can go out and look around and
figure out where this distress call came from.
So Dallas, Kane, and Lambert put on their astronaut suits and they go out into the atmosphere, which is very cold, very snowy, very windy vibes on this planet.
And this is one of the things I was talking about. The way they did this, there's children in the spacesuits.
Oh.
To make the ship look bigger. Like the set. That's what they did. Oh,
that's cool. Like,
so, and I really noticed it when I watched it. I was like, oh.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
So that's not the one you were thinking of then?
No.
Okay,
no.
then I'm excited to hear what you noticed.
They go into a cave and they discover this weird ass kind of U-shaped alien ship.
Yeah. And it is abandoned.
Like, what the fuck is that? It's abandoned. Yeah, it's abandoned. They're walking towards it from the outside, and you get this cool, like, almost kind of found footage-y shot of them approaching it because Ash is watching their camera footage on the monitor. So as it's approached, I thought this was so eerie and scary because the quality of the footage is all staticky and kind of going in and out as they're approaching it. And you're really like, what the hell is that? Like, it's just unnerving.
Yes.
As they keep getting closer and closer to it. They go inside, and as they're making their way into the ship, we cut back to Ripley. She tells Ash she decoded
the message, or at least part of it, and she's like, I think this is a warning, babe.
Warning, not a distress call. Like, a warning. So, and Ash ignores her, and is like, well, at this point, they're already there.
She's like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go out and get them. He's like, no, like, because by the time you get there, they'll already know it's a warning.
So
just stay here.
Sit tight. Yeah.
And she's like,
fuck. She's very suspicious of what's going on here. She's like, that's suspicious. That's weird. And the ship, we go back to the weird alien ship. It's lined on the walls, all these weird tubing going on. And they explore further, and they find the cockpit of the ship, where there is a giant fossilized alien corpse seated upon this, weird chair thing.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe the sequels inform what this was supposed to be, but I love that it's kind of just a mystery in this first movie, because I'm still like, what the fuck is that? It's very strange. It almost looks like a human skeleton, but it's like a giant human skeleton.
But not, it's weird.
So
it kind of also looks like it's part of the ship at first.
Yeah, it almost looks like its body is fused into the weird space chair thing.
But they notice that the way the bones are, they're like, the bones are concaved outward. They're like, it looks like it exploded from the inside.
Yeah.
Wonder what that's about.
Kane decides to go spelunking down further into the ship, he finds a big chamber filled with thousands of eggs. And there's this mist covering the eggs, and there's like a laser as well, kind of weird lighting effect. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
He falls down into the eggs, like he stumbles and falls. So then he's like already like, okay, well, I'm up close next to an egg, let me investigate it. And he touches it, jump scare, he gets zapped.
Yep.
Then the egg like starts to open up. It
Well,
kind of looks like
notices there's
rose
something
petals
in it moving.
Yeah, because it's like translucent, and you can
He's like-
see like
he's like, oh,
a little.
He's like, oh, it's a sign of life. Like it's
Yeah,
He's like like
kind of looks like
organic life.
a utero, or like the baby in utero, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird thing.
And then it like
inside.
opens up,
And he goes to look inside it.
which is stupid.
Yeah, he just puts his whole ass face up in it. It jumps out and latches onto his face with a little shriek.
Yeah.
And we cut away. Very scary.
Yes.
They bring Kane back to the Nostromo. And Ripley
will not open the door. She's like, he's gonna be
No.
quarantined for 24 hours.
Yes, thank you, Ripley, obeying quarantine. This was pre-COVID.
And this is a moment.
mind you.
This is one of the many moments that she could have saved people's lives if they had listened to her.
And they don't listen to her. Yeah, that's a constant theme throughout, is them not listening to fucking Ripley.
And
Ash lets them in.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason.
Ash is like, I'm letting you in.
Even though he's the very like, oh, I know every rule in the book.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, what's Ash's deal?
Yeah.
See, something's up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. They remove Kane's space helmet, and they reveal that the creature has wrapped
Latched
itself
onto its
around his face, and it's living off of his life force like a parasite.
Yeah.
And, okay, so let's try and describe this creature, right? So it kind of looks
It
like...
looks like, okay, imagine a horseshoe crab, but if it didn't have its shell. That's how
Yeah.
I literally look at it.
True.
Like, that's what it looks like. And so it's like a...
The long crab legs are wrapped around
It has like
his
spider
head.
legs, like I think it has 8 legs, and then it has like a long ass tail that's wrapped around his neck, but then it's like latched onto his face. But he's breathing.
And when they try to like poke and prod at it, it starts choking him with its tail.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, fuck, we have to be careful with how we go about trying to remove this thing. And yeah, like you said, it's breathing for him, basically.
Yeah, because they do like an analysis and they notice it has something down his throat. And Ash assumes, or tells them, he's like, I assume it's to let him breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be very careful.
Yeah. And they try to cut one of the little fingers off.
Yeah.
But it's blood.
It's acid.
And it bleeds, it like drips on the floor and starts burning a hole through the floor. And they're like, oh shit, we need to go make sure it doesn't burn through the fucking ship.
Yeah.
So there's this cool scene of them running down the stairs, and we see the acid bleeding through floors and floors of the ship.
Yeah.
And Parker makes the comment, he's like, well, damn, that's one hell of a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Because it, like, is.
So then that's how so this was, had to do with, like, a behind-the-scenes moment where one of the, like, people working on the film asked, like, well, why don't they just shoot the alien? Then somebody suggested, what if it bled acid?
It's a perfect way for them to just be like, okay, well, we have to kind of let it do its thing at this point. There's nothing we can do.
And it's science fiction, so it's like, at this point, you're like, I just have to go with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's an alien, so, like, I'm just, fuck, as far as I know, it can bleed acid.
So they're just like, okay, we'll keep Kane in, like, a little chamber, and we'll just observe him. And Ash that night is watching Kane's x-ray footage while everyone else is sleeping. Ripley comes in and confronts him, and he very quickly turns off the monitor so she can't see what's going on. And she's basically like, what the fuck is your deal? Why did you let them in? Like, if you're such a goody-goody, knows every rule in the book kind of science officer, then why would you break quarantine protocol?
Yeah.
And he basically tells her to mind her business, bitch, because that's none of your concern. Don't worry. Da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, I'm on to you, Ash. I got my eye on you. The next day, they all notice that the creature is now missing from Kane's face.
Yeah.
So they go in and they're all nervous and they carefully search the room trying to find it. There's this big jump scare as the lifeless corpse of the creature falls down on Ripley's shoulder.
Yeah.
And they're like, ah! But then they just see it. They're like, oh, it's dead.
Yeah.
And she's like, we should destroy this thing. And Ash is like, no, let's bring it back to Earth with us because, you know, science, we have to examine it. Mm. And she's like, fuck that. It bled acid. How do we know it's not going to do some crazy shit when it's dead, too?
Yeah.
They continue to just ignore her. But Kane, meanwhile, is seemingly totally fine. He's like, what's up? Hey,
that was fucking crazy. That was alien on my face.
Oh my god. Y'all, what did I miss?
Y'all, I didn't know I could deep throat like that, man. Man, this shit was crazy.
I was deep throating for like 10 hours, and the last thing I remember is just totally blacking out. Oh my god, like, what a wild night.
It happens.
They kind of do that like debrief, you know, when you go out with your friends and you get fucked up, and the next morning you have to do the debrief.
Yeah,
all the crazy shit.
Y'all gonna really rap.
What about when you, girl? We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Where's brunch? Let's get brunch first.
Let's get brunch.
That's very Kane. He literally says, "Let's eat breakfast."
Yeah.
So they sit around,
and they're like,
breakfast.
"Well, we're gonna," because they're also like, "Well, we're gonna get ready to go back to sleep."
Yeah,
they're like,
get back into
so this will be our last meal. Then we'll just go back to sleep because fuck this, we're done.
Everything's going fine. They're kikiing. All of a sudden, Kane starts to cough, and then he starts to like convulse. And then we get like probably the most famous scene from the movie.
Yes,
right.
They like throw him on the table. They think he's having like a heart attack or
he's
something.
Like. Blah, 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 blah. Then, an alien bursts out of his
fucking chest.
Oh my god! And it's like a little like a nasty little.
And it just kind of like stares at them.
Kind of looks like a
they're about to like
rat.
hit it, and then Ash is like, "Don't kill it,"
which sus. And they're all like, "What?" And then it goes.
And it runs out.
Runs
it's like a
away
little
really
shit.
fast.
It's like a little thing.
It's like bleh.
It's like a little hot dog.
Yeah, it does look like a little hot dog, and it's got little teeth. It's like, meh. And
that was shot in one take.
Really?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, and so they're like, well, fuck. Guess we need to find this thing now and try to catch it.
Also,
they get a
dump
net.
Kane's body, so they dump Kane's body.
Yeah, this was really scary and sad, and like they just very unceremoniously like eject his corpse out into space, and he just floats around in space for the rest of eternity. That was
he rots.
So, I don't know, bleak and just cold and
well, he's dead. What's
sad.
he gonna do about it? Like,
I know, but it's just that like whole notion of like that's what happens to you when you die in space. You float around in space.
Yeah.
There's something.
Where you land, nobody knows.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. They arm themselves with these cattle prods, and Ash introduces them to this tracking device that he made that is motion detected, and it allows them to tell if the alien is near.
Yeah.
So they split up, and they're going around trying to search for the little baby alien. Ripley and Parker think that they found the alien in a crate, and they open it. Jump scare! It's just the kitty cat. It's Jones.
Yeah.
And Jones runs into the room, and they're like, well, shit. They send Brett to go get the cat. He is wandering around by himself, and he discovers the shedded skin of the alien on the floor, which means this thing has gotten bigger. And then we get my favorite scene in the movie. He follows the cat into this big, dark chamber with, like, the water drops coming down, and then there's chains swinging.
Yeah.
By the way, the ship, the inside of the ship, I haven't mentioned this before, but it's very important for, like, how this scene, what makes it so good, is designed with all these all this piping and all these tubes.
Curves, and it looks like the alien.
Like the alien's design, right?
Yes, I use that so many times. It's to fake you out.
So there's so many scenes in this movie where it's these long pan shots of the inside of the ship, and because of the way that like maybe some mechanical wiring or tubing is placed or arranged in the set, it tricks your brain. You're like, oh, that's the alien. Oh, it's not the alien. It's just some tubing or whatever.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot in this movie. Like, they did it intentionally to, like, trick you into being like, oh, that's the alien. Oh, that's the alien. Well, bitch, in this scene, when right after Brett goes, he goes up and the water drops are, like, falling on his face, right? And he's kind of, like cleansing his face or kind of, like, letting the water, like, roll off him. And the camera tilts up. And we see those chains swinging. Bitch, I clocked this time. The alien is in plain sight and he's hanging from one of the chains. But the camera doesn't really linger on it and it cuts away pretty fast. But if you pause it, they show you the alien in that moment. But if you've never seen the movie or you've never seen what the alien's supposed to look like, you wouldn't know.
I didn't notice that.
It's so creepy. It's one of those where, like, there's something about, like, when something's hiding in plain sight and you can't see it until after the fact, and it's so unnerving. That's why this scene, one of the reasons why this scene is so brilliant. Look it up. Look up alien, like, hanging in the chains during Brett's death scene. Because at first I was like, is that the alien? I don't know. And I paused it. Because I wasn't sure if it was like, oh, they're just trying to fake me out again.
It's when it's from above?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I just don't know if I can see it on this. Like from here?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a little after this.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Right there?
Oh my god, it's literally right there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh my god, yeah.
Isn't that spooky?
Oh.
Bam.
Well, it's at the minute mark on the Alien Uncut, Brett's Death Extended.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. So,
Yeah.
if you just want to see that clip.
Spooky.
Oh my god,
Look at
yeah, he's
him.
right there.
Uh-huh.
There he is. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you earlier. That's something I noticed.
That's cool.
Yeah, really cool, right?
Well, yeah, we see the alien hanging there. And then he finds Jonesy.
So,
and
yeah.
Jonesy starts hissing because the alien is right behind.
Yeah,
Brett.
this was, I don't know how they would have done this because it's a real cat. Like, they used, like, a real cat.
They
for Jonesy.
used a German Shepherd to get it to hiss.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, to scare it?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. The cat's body language, where it's, like, hiding, like, it looks very scared, was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, they did a good
They
job.
used German Shepherds to get...
And
it was method acting.
it was definitely method acting, yeah. And then we see the tail come down behind Brett. And it's the alien! And we finally see it. We see it's just close-up shots of it. Like, you don't see its whole body yet, which I think is smart. And we see its mouth, and it has a little baby mouth inside its big mouth.
And it comes out, and it just
snatches Brett right on up.
Yeah.
And then Parker and Ripley rush in and they look up, and you know how the water was coming down? It's blood that drips down on them.
And that's why also watch the director's cut. That is not in the cut that I've watched.
It's not?
No, it just cuts straight to them where it's like, they're just like, yeah, we ran in and that thing was huge.
No, that's so fucking cool because it goes from actual, like, water drops to bloody drops. And that is it's very artsy and beautiful. Y'all, that's my favorite scene in the movie. Point blank, period. Like, it is just a masterclass of building tension.
Yeah.
From the first moment he steps into that chamber, you're like, the alien's in this. I know the alien's going to be in this room. And yeah. What a good scene. Gives me chills. They tell the others what happened.
And so that's where, the cliche of, like, because everyone's always like, don't split up. But this one is, they didn't even know. They still thought the alien was just this little shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little hot dog. Still.
Right, exactly.
They didn't know it was going to grow into this giant 6'10"
huge thing.
Monster.
Yeah.
I would also like to say the alien is played by Balaji Badejo, who is a Nigerian, and this is his only acting credit.
Oh, right, because he was so tall.
Yes.
They just, like, I guess found him out at, like, a pub somewhere.
Yep. And they wanted him to be in the sequels, but he did not want to do it.
Fair enough.
He sadly passed away in 1992.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
He gave a sickening physical acting performance as the alien.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll describe the alien a little bit more the next time we see it, because I think we get a better view of it in that scene. But yeah, it's super scary.
Next one's kind of a little it's a jump scare.
Yeah.
It's great. This movie I think has great jump scares.
Yeah.
I think this movie is just
scary.
The tension is so well done, and the build up to seeing the full alien is so like worth it.
Yeah. It's like just perfectly executed.
It's just a really this movie's great.
And they are like, okay, well, we need to come up with a plan. Also, they assume it's probably using the air ducts to move around. And they describe what it looks like to the rest of the crew. And they're like, it's big. It's like a man. And Ash goes, it's because it's Kane's son. What the fuck? Like, time and place. Oh my God. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
Yeah, my birthday dinner.
They deduce that, okay, it might be able to be burned. We haven't seen how it reacts to fire or heat. So they're like, let's close all these vents and we'll try to torch it out.
Yeah, and then shoot it out of one of the air vents or air ducts.
Mm-hmm. And space. They send Dallas to go spelunking up in the vent systems.
Well, Ripley says she's going to do it. And then Dallas is like, no, me.
Because I'm the captain. Okay. It's suit your fucking self.
This was another moment where we see, like, I noticed he can't, it's so hard for him to maneuver through. Because he's so big.
Because he's a beefy
And she, guy. I think, would have had an easier time.
Yeah. And he's going in and he'll be like, okay, now shut the vent behind me. And they shut the vent. And I made one note about the vents, and that is that they look like winking buttholes. Do they not?
Hey, y'all, want to see a party trick?
That is literally all I could think of. I was like, that was like a butthole trying to give a wink.
Girl, that's a booty hole.
That's a booty hole.
Little hole, Keisha. Valve.
Valve. Dallas is spelunking around while they track him, but then the signal, his signal on the motion detector kind of goes out for a minute. Then suddenly it goes back on, and we see that there is another dot on the radar,
and Lambert
coming
starts
close
freaking
to him.
out.
She's like, "It's right there! You gotta get out of there! Oh!" And so he goes down the ladder and da-da-da-da, oh my God, and not that way. And so he turns towards the camera, turns back around, boom!
The alien goes, bleh!
It's like,
she goes, surprise! She gives surprise hands.
Yeah, her arms are like out. Like,
she's like, hey!
It's like, I come to you with open arms.
And the alien is, I love it.
It's
just a quick cut.
So this is a quick cut. This jump scare made me fly 10 feet out of my fucking chair watching this movie. So good.
Yeah.
Lambert and Parker are both freaking the fuck out, and Ripley is trying to pull it together and come up with a plan. And she goes to confront Ash.
Oh, I like this part because Parker is like, I'm gonna kill it. And she's like, well, you shut the fuck up. Just shut up. He does speak. He's like, go on. He just keeps like talking over each other.
Yeah.
It's really fun. But I like it because I'm like, okay, you see, like, it's a real, like, relationship.
Yeah,
like,
they're very real people. They're so related. Parker is super related. I mean,
yeah.
My name's Parker.
Your name's Parker.
So maybe that's
when you were watching it, you're like, that's my name.
That's my name. But no, he's just super, like, exactly how I react in this situation.
No, Parker, I think you just want to fuck him.
He's also daddy as well. Yeah, he also is really cute. Especially when there's a point later where his shirt gets ripped open. That chest.
And you're like, hey. But yeah, then he's like, yeah, I want to kill it. And like...
So she goes, this is when Ripley goes to confront Ash. And it's very like, Kelly, do something.
Kelly, do something!
Because he's been sitting around doing nothing this whole time.
And she basically
just
calls it
letting
out. She's
shit
like,
happen.
He's like, well, what do you want me to do? She's like, do what you've been doing the whole time. Nothing.
Yeah, sit on your ass. Just not contribute. Sit back while everybody else dies. How about that? And she's like, well, have you heard any more information from Mother, the computer system? And he goes, Mother and I are still collating.
She's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Bitch, what are you talking about? But that line makes more sense later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She goes to Mother herself. She gets up in the computer chair and she says, I am going to do the research. I'm going to find evidence. I looked for evidence on January 6th.
Yes.
That was Ripley. And she discovers the ship was rerouted purposely by the company and that Ash was sent here with one purpose: to collect the alien specimen from that planetoid and bring it back to Earth for research. And it says the crew expendable. So she is pissed the fuck off. They have been sent here basically like pigs being led to slaughter.
Yeah.
And Ash knew about it the whole time.
Yeah.
So she goes full on Maury Povich and starts like trying to beat Ash's ass basically, and is like, what the fuck? And then she goes and she's like, I'm gonna tell the others about this. Da 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 da. He traps her. He like closes the hatches in the hallway to lock her in. Then he proceeds to beat the shit out of her.
He rips out her hair.
And he has this inhuman strength.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. Then he rolls up a magazine and starts to choke her. Okay? And I will say, a big theme in this movie is sexual aggression and the horror of SA. And there's lots of visual symbolism that depicts anatomy, like the reproductive system, vaginas, penises, like a lot of the design, like the way the alien is designed to kind of look like an erect penis.
Yeah.
And like I said, those vents are like winking buttholes, but they also kind of look like vaginas, like the entrance to the womb. There's a lot of birthing symbolism, da-da-da-da-da. But this scene, I think, is the most like telling as far as the theme of sexual aggression, because he literally takes a magazine and it is like a nudie mag, like a porn magazine.
Yeah. And there's like porn behind her on the wall.
And he rolls it up and is trying to stuff it down her throat.
I know I don't think they talk about it in the film. I think it was initially it was an idea, but it was supposed to be the way they kind of were. One of the ways they were going to kind of figure Ash out was, so the way they would like have sex is like, the reason there were two women and there was men there is so that like they could just have intercourse with each other during the trip.
The crew, like the
crew, yeah, just like
they were fucking.
Yeah, but like, but they never like. There was supposed to be a conversation between Ripley and Lambert where they're like, "Have you ever done anything with Ash?" And they were both like, "No, like, we've never done anything with Ash."
Which makes
we'll
sense
get
here
in
in just a second.
a minute.
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting obvious sexual assault imagery here. Parker and Lambert appear just the last second to save her. Parker beats Ash in the head with a bat.
And he starts to
like tweak out.
He's like spitting out this like white liquid.
Yeah, it looks like cum.
Cum.
Which I think was intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, sticky white liquid. And he's, spitting out, and they hit him in the head, and his head pops off, and he's got wires coming off.
He's a fucking robot!
And he is a robot. That is the big reveal. They realize he is an android that was sent by the company. And that's why, if you go back, Ash is weird. He acts weird. He makes decisions.
That's why he looks fine the whole time.
Looks perfectly not tired at all, because he doesn't have to sleep. He's a fucking robot. It's why he lets the alien onto the ship when it was attached to Kane's face. It all leads back to Ash was sabotaging this mission.
Yes.
They prop his head up and they turn like the head part of him back on so they can talk to him and kind of pick his brain or his
what the
his
fuck?
computer, I guess, for info. And he basically says he stands the alien because it is a perfect organism. And he admires its purity and this and that because it's just unkillable. Because, they say, how do we kill it? And he says, you can't.
He also tries to do this like whole bullshit. He's like, given the odds, your odds, like, you have my sympathies. And they're like, fuck you.
Fuck you. So she turns his ass off. She's like, okay, Ash, you're done. And then Parker even blow torches him to make sure everything is destroyed. So they're fucking furious and they need to find a way out. And this is when Ripley's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
We're blowing up the ship, we're taking the escape pod, we're getting out.
Period. Yeah. And it has a self-destruct feature. So I will go activate that. Y'all need to go get fuel
I'm giving you 7 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, because you need to get fuel, and we're going to get in that little shuttle. Because apparently there's a little shuttle. I guess the only reason why they didn't use it before was because it's really small. And it would have been too many crew members for that particular shuttle.
Yeah.
So she goes and she starts the activation system, starts the process of it. Then she gets distracted because the cat walks by. And so she's like, oh shit, that's my cat. I need to go save my cat.
I'm Jonesy, and then I'll set this off.
And meanwhile, Parker and Lambert are making way too much noise.
That's what I was like, do they not realize
it's such a dumb character choice. They just are throwing these big fuel...
They are clanging.
Tanks
and
or whatever.
And clanging. She finds the cat. It gives her a jump scare.
Oh, Ripley?
It cuts back to that, and then, while they're, it's a really good setup of how, the alien shows up, because Lambert is just, moving the...
Right, you think that the alien's there with Ripley. The alien's going to attack Ripley. Yeah. But the alien shows up behind
because there's,
Parker
a light shining on Lambert, and then all of a sudden the alien just comes into the light.
Shadow,
and she kind of does, a double take, doesn't see it at first, and then looks back and is like, oh, God. And then Parker notices, and he has the flamethrower, and he's, screaming, Lambert, you gotta get out of the way. Get out of the way.
But she's frozen in fear.
And Ripley can, hear them over, a headset or something, and she's like, shit, what the fuck's going on? And she just hears them screaming.
And then... I don't know if it's this way in the theatrical cut, but in the director's cut, we do see Parker get killed. And this is the first time we see, a full body prolonged of the alien.
Yeah.
So I guess we could really get into the description of the alien in this scene. So... It's incredibly tall, it's black, it's shiny. It has all these tubing going up, down its arms and legs. And the tail looks like kind of chains on the back of it. Yeah. And it has
an exposed rib cage, kind of.
It has that big kind of dick-shaped head, dickhead shape. But the head, I don't know if you noticed this, but this was something I also noticed on this rewatch. The alien's head is translucent, and it has a visible skull with eye sockets.
Yeah.
I never noticed that before, but it scares the shit out of me now that I know it.
It's a very scary...
It's horrifying.
Alien.
And I like that it is kind of... has that tubing, right? All around it.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like...
It's part of the ship.
It's part of the ship, because I think it adapts to its surroundings, kind of. It's almost like a chameleon.
Yeah.
And I think that it... I don't know, somehow, took some of the ship, the engineering of the ship, and maybe it was, feeding on pieces of the ship to, sustain itself.
Yeah.
And I think that the ship itself kind of became part of the alien, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
One of the scariest creature designs in horror. It's fucking awesome. It is rad.
That's annoying that, the version I watch... This is why y'all watch the director's cut, because, this is not in the... You don't see... Lambert's death.
Oh, well, you see Parker's death. The little, baby tongue.
Yeah.
The little mouth inside the mouth. Basically, fucks Parker's face.
Yeah.
And snatches Parker up and, throws his body around. And then it starts in on Lambert, and she's just frozen in fear. And its tail goes down in between her legs.
Yeah.
And comes up, and it's very... Ew, it...
So you see it, come up her leg. You do see that part, but it's not, I feel like the extended... Let me watch the extended, see if it,
It's probably not as... the camera probably doesn't linger on the alien as much. Yeah. I would guess. Yeah, and as it's killing Lambert, this, to me, is probably the most suggestive of... sexual aggression and pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that its tail literally goes up between her legs.
Yeah.
And you hear her agonizingly scream on Ripley's radio.
Yeah.
It's really scary. Normally, I wouldn't like off-screen death, but I do really like Lambert's death.
Yeah.
Because you hear her in so much agony as
Yeah.
she dies. Like, it's very well done sound design.
Yeah.
That makes it work, I think.
Yeah.
So Ripley's like, well,
She discovers their bodies.
I gotta get the fuck out.
And she's like, well, if it's just me, I'm getting out of here.
So she activates the self-destruct feature, and now there is a 10-minute countdown before the ship explodes.
Yeah.
So she arms herself with a flamethrower, and she makes a run to the shuttle.
She then discovers basically a nest that the Xenomorph, which I don't know if we've said the alien's name, but I don't think it gets that name until the sequels.
Yeah,
known as
it's
the
only referred to as the alien.
The alien, but it's known as the Xenomorph. She gets to its like nest, and she discovers Dallas and I think Brett's bodies. Brett is like fucked up. His like body's fucked up because he's been there much longer. But Dallas is like covered in like this slime, basically like part of the nest, and he's just basically like, she's like, oh my god,
it's in like a cocoon.
yeah,
he's like
it's a
cocoon.
and he's just saying like, kill me.
Kill me. So scary and
It's
so
really
sad.
sad because then she just like torches
She
the fuck out
has
of
to
because
yeah.
even though the ship's gonna blow up, it's like she's doing that one last like
It's a mercy killing.
mercy kill.
Yeah.
Like this is her captain. This is also like one of her crewmates.
Mm-hmm.
Like because she also kills Brett.
Very
you know,
emotional
which is
for her.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a good character moment. I just really like this scene. I think this really makes the director's cut.
Right.
And I'm very surprised this didn't make the final cut because they say in the one version that like they went to where Dallas's body was. There's no blood. They didn't find any blood. There was nothing. So it's like you never knew what happened
happened.
with Dallas.
Because he got snatched up.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's your theory then about behind the cocoons? Do you think that...
Either saving them to eat later or
Do you think maybe they're
using
being
them as-
turned
into
into
nests. Like
eggs or whatever?
basically to become nests. Like,
Yeah.
Like for like because they need a host to become the Xenomorph.
Maybe they're saving it so that they can reproduce later and
Yeah.
use them as a host.
Yeah.
So yeah, that scene's really sad. I like it a lot. I agree. I think it should have been in the theatrical cut. And she leaves that behind her. She is almost to the shuttle.
And bitch, that alien is standing right in front of it.
Right in
And
front of
she's
it.
like, this is a real, because she like,
She ducks away, and the lights are, it's the emergency lights that are strobing.
so it's flashing. And it's
Yeah.
just like, she is like petrified.
And yeah, it's nasty. It's I like that it makes that like it kind of sounds like a cat
Yeah,
almost.
it
It has
makes-
very feline.
And she left Jonesy in a little box behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she's running off, we see the alien like takes a look at Jonesy and like it's a little crate, so you think like, oh
Oh
crap.
no, Jonesy! But it swipes Jonesy to the side.
Yeah, it doesn't want the cat.
Bitch slaps it away.
It's not a suitable host, so it doesn't
right.
want it.
It needs the human. Yeah. And so Ripley has to go the long way around.
Well, she tries to
give herself more time by
turn
like
off. She's like, well, let me just deactivate it. I'm just getting the fuck out of here.
the timer. Yeah.
She's like, I'm not gonna. So she tries to deactivate it and she misses it just.
Just in the nick of time. It sucks.
It
and the
sucks.
computer's like, actually, bitch, you only have 5 minutes now. She's like, fuck! She's like, you bitch! To the computer, which I thought
Yeah.
was really funny. So, now at this point, she's running. She only has 1 minute once
So
she
she's
gets
like,
on the
bitch,
shuttle.
I'm just fucking going.
So she gets it blasted off, and she barely gets the shuttle detached and fly away.
Well, she
in
finds
time.
Jonesy.
Yeah, and she finds Jonesy.
She's like, oh my god. She's holy shit, you're alive.
And so she gets on the shuttle, she flies away, and it blows up behind her. Thank God, right?
Yeah, she's
Okay,
like,
so
okay.
everything's
She's
fine.
like, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I
got you, bitch.
you.
And we think everything's all good.
She's like,
takes off her
she's getting ready for stasis.
gets in her little jammies. She's got a little like
booty crack out.
She does kind of have her butt crack out, but that's because she's fucking tired. Look, at the end of the day, when you're tired as fuck, you want to take all
Also,
your clothes
fun
off
fact
and jump in
about
bed.
this, she would not shave for
Period.
this, and her like pussy hair, and
Ooh.
so they had to frame by frame edit it out.
Oh
back in the
damn!
70s.
Just
I don't
let her
know
go
why.
full bush.
That's my thing. I'm like, Bitch, she's been in stasis.
She's
for
in
who knows how long.
space,
When would she be
bitch.
shaving?
When would she wax her cooch?
Like some... But I guess in like one of the re-releases, like they put the pussy hair back in.
Thank God.
Free Sigourney Weaver's pussy hair.
Free Sigourney Weaver's pussy hair. God damn. Then
she goes over to like some thing station real quick, and she's like, do pressing buttons, and then all of a sudden the Xenomorph's hand just pops out.
Yeah.
She's like, woo!
Oh.
And he's sleeping.
Uh-huh.
She runs into like a closet with some spacesuits, and she's like watching it, and it's just asleep. Its mouth comes out,
Yeah.
the little one, just to take a big yawn. He goes, and then he goes like right back in.
Yeah. So I guess it just must have crawled into the shuttle right in the last second.
And it's like in like a little like
kind of stuck in, I believe it's stuck in the door, like where the door closes. Mm-hmm. And it maybe is like stuck or wounded or something. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But yeah, it's just kind of like splayed out.
Yeah.
And Ripley is like, all right, let me put on my spacesuit so I can open up the hatch so we can eject the alien out.
Yeah. So
she
like,
turns on some
she is
like
not taking her eye off
spray
of it.
things. Oh yeah, and she's singing that song from Singing in the Rain, like You're My Lucky Star, to herself because she's so fucking nervous.
Yeah.
And which I love that detail.
Yeah.
And she sprays it with some like, I'm guessing cold air or like mist or something.
Yeah.
So it will kind of like get up and get in front of the thing. She turns on the eject button.
And she has like a
up
grappling gun too. Because it like, the air starts pulling it out and it like...
It grabs onto the fucking door.
So it's like
with
super
both
fucking
arms.
smart.
Yeah.
And so then she's like, shit. So she shoots it.
With the grappling gun, and she lets the like rope of the grappling gun go.
But the door
closes
and catches it. So it's now like
dangling
from the ship, but it crawls then into the like
turbine.
The turbine, wherever the fucking
whatever
hot
that thing is.
fire comes out.
And so Ripley turns on the blaster.
And it fucking sets it on fire and then breaks the grappling hook and it
and finally sends the alien out into space. So we're finally we can breathe.
And she does her last journal entry. So she's about 6 weeks away from Earth.
And that she's the sole
the
survivor.
The sequel says different.
Yeah. And she gets into her pod with Jonesy, who still survived. Thank God.
Thank God.
And
our final girls.
Our final girls. Yeah.
Girls. Plural.
And they take a very well-deserved sleep. Finally.
Yeah.
And that is Alien.
Yeah. We get one final shot of space and then credits.
Yeah. Very scary. Very good movie. Love it. It's classic.
Yeah. I think it holds up. The director's cut, I've said it the whole podcast, but that's the version you have to watch. Mm-hmm. It's just, the theatrical cut is fine. It just gets rid of so many good parts.
Yeah. So next week we are going to start Jordan Peele June.
Yes.
We're going to do Get Out, bitch.
Get Out.
So yeah, and we're going to have a special guest. I don't want to announce it yet. It'll be a surprise. But
surprise.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love that movie. It's a masterpiece as well. So we will get into it next week.
All right, everybody.
Stay tuned. All right. So thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Let's Scream.
We hope you had a fun time with us in space. Learning all about the alien.
Please remember to follow the pod at Let's Scream Pod on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Scream. Make sure to leave a like, a comment. You can also send us movie requests for future episodes. You can follow me at Parker_Will_C.
And you can follow me at StevieNash95 on Instagram.
And until next time, this has been
Let's Scream. Bye.